Okay, so tonight we're going to be learning about mind your own business. 148, page 148. The screen on right away. Okay, we got the screen right here. Okay. So here's the screen. Meditation from Sinai, mindful awareness and divine spirituality to help you think, feel, and live more deeply. Today we're going to learn about meditation with every aspect of our life. That there is something to meditate upon every moment of every day, 365 days a year. Okay, mind your business, reframing the routine. Today we're going to be discussing not Torah classes, not tefillin, not Laili Shabbat counts, not doing any mitzvot. Today we're going to be discussing what do you do when you sleep? What do you do when you eat? When you go exercise, when you go to the gym, when you go for a walk, when you go on vacation, when you fly in a plane? The routine, the regular day-to-day items and aspects, how do we reframe them? What do we do with them? So, look at this screen here. See, it's got a whole balagan and it's making meditation practical. In other words, in the balagan of the whole world, in everything, in the nitty-gritty, in the mud, so to speak, we're going to make this practical. Changing the way we behave every single moment in the screen in front of you. Okay, it's literally every moment of every day. If you only focus, if you only pay attention, mindful, doesn't mean you need to meditate 24 hours a day, but you're mindful about the way you go to sleep, about the way you eat, about the way you conduct your business, about every single moment, it's a game changer. Okay, so let's start without further ado on text number 1 in the book in front of you, text number 1. Okay, so text number 1 is a verse from Mishlei, which says, B'chol drachecha dayu. King Solomon writes, know God in all your ways and he will direct your paths. Now, what does that mean? You should know God in all your ways. I mean, seemingly, like, what does that mean? Okay, fine, I know God in all my ways. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me unless I understand it, learn it, and internalize it like we're about to do. Text number 1b, the Talmud in Brachot explains, what does King Solomon say? Bar Kapara taught, which is a brief passage upon which all the fundamental principles of Torah are dependent. Know God in all your ways and he will direct your paths. So Bar Kapara in the Talmud is basically shining a spotlight on knowing God, not just when you put on tefillin, not just when you light Shabbat candles, but knowing God literally in all your ways. Okay? And the Rambam spells it out. Look at the screen in front of you. Hi, Daniel. Welcome. Hi, Daniel. Oh, both two Daniels just arrived. What is the real story beneath them? So look at that. What is the real story beneath the mundane? And that is tapping into the divine energy, as we will see. There's divine energy in every experience, in every mundane and trivial activity that we do 24 hours a day. There is divine energy. Okay. To find meaningful life. So how does one achieve this? That's what we're going to learn tonight. Let's just... Okay, so I'm saying go back over here. So how does one achieve this, right? How do you achieve knowing God in all your ways, so to speak? How do we do that? That's the focus of tonight's class. Okay, this verse over here, which is on the screen in front of you, know God in all your ways. In every single thing that you do, 24 hours a day, know God. Whether you're a doctor, lawyer, or a manager, or whatever you do, know God in every way, every moment of every day, including the mundane. Okay, so this is where we're holding that, changing our everyday routine. Let's just look at the book in front of you. Okay, so text number 2, this is from the Rambam, Maimonides. Maimonides explains to us, what do we do? How is this possible? We should, so for those who just joining, I think we're on page 150 now. Text number 2 in lesson 5. We should direct our hearts and the totality of our behavior to one goal. Becoming aware of God. The way we rest, rise, and converse should all be directed to this end. Every moment of every day, what does God want from me now? By the way, going back to Russia and Ukraine, there is no doubt in my mind, and I said this last week, that everything is orchestrated and directed by God. How, why it's happening, I have no idea. I cannot explain to you, and nobody in the world can explain to you. But there's nothing that happens without God's creating it, making it. For example, but here the Rambam says like this. So for example, when involved in business dealings or while working for a wage, we should not think solely of amassing wealth. Rather, we should engage in such activities for the sake of being in a position to obtain that which our body needs: food, drink, shelter, and a spouse. So when you go out and work and make $10, make $100, make $10,000, so your focus should not only be on making wealth. Making wealth is not a bad thing, but your focus should also be as a mitzvah to take care of your body. Your body needs food, your body needs water, your body needs shelter. You have a mitzvah to take care of your spouse. Then when we eat, drink, or engage in intimate relations, we should not intend to do these things solely for pleasure, to the point that we eat and drink only that which is sweet and tasty, and we engage in intimacy for pleasure. Rather, we should focus our minds while eating and drinking on the exclusive benefits of maintaining a full, healthy body. Therefore, we should not eat whatever the palate desires, which would put us on par with animals. But rather, we should select foods that are beneficial for the body, whether they are bitter or sweet, and we should avoid substances that are harmful to the body, even if they taste delicious. So there you have it. Every single thing in our lives should be for God. And today, in tonight's class, we're going to focus on three things, three meditations, and we're going to explain how when you meditate upon these concepts, it will change your life. Those three things are eating, sleeping, and working. Okay, but whatever we're going to mention really applies to everything else as well. But eating, sleeping, and working is what we're going to discuss now, because it's really the Rambam, that's what he mentions. Okay, then we'll have a meditation in each category. Let's start with eating. Okay, but let me just see over here. Okay, so look at the screen in front of you. Changing our everyday routine from shallow to mindful. Okay, we go about our daily tasks and we like zombies, basically. Wake up in the morning and you do your, your coffee and your exercise, and then you go to work, and it's like mindless. It has no meaning. So from shallow to mindful. But when you do those same activities in the same way, there's absolutely no difference. You're just mindful about it. It's a game changer. Okay, and the three things we're going to talk about: eating, sleeping, and working. And what we're going to say really applies to everything else as well. We only focus on these things, okay? So let's start with eating. You have the book in front of you. Okay, exercise 5.1. Check this out. Write down your preferred food for each of the following. Breakfast. What's your favorite thing for breakfast? What's your favorite thing for dinner date, your snack? Comfort food and dessert. Write that down. Now, some of you may have said, some good chocolate, some good, I don't know, eggs, steak, whatever it is. Everybody has their own foods. Now think to yourself, if you were on a deserted island and you have no idea when you may be rescued, what food do you want to have with you? Okay, and the chances are, once you do this exercise properly, chances are that the food item on the final line, the one when you're in the desert and you have no idea when you're going to be rescued, will not match any of the above in the table in front of it. Why is that? Simple. Because much of the food we eat is not for survival, but for indulgence. Because we just enjoy it. But when you're on that desert island by yourself, it's for survival. It's different. It's very different. So in other words, in the back of our mind, we know we need to eat. So we like you like an ice cream cone. It's mindless eating, basically. You eat a 2-pound steak, you grab one snack bar, we're just mindlessly popping food into our mouth. How many times you sit in your house and you walk to the fridge, open the fridge, back and forth, open the fridge again and again and again. And nothing changed in the fridge, by the way. The same items in the fridge 2 minutes ago and 4 minutes ago and 6 minutes ago, the last 17 times you open the fridge, but you'll just open the fridge because, it's like mindless eating. So with a simple pause on the button and just mindfulness, we could see how you could really tap into a whole potential here. Let's look at the screen here. Okay, so without meditation, why do we eat? Because we can. You eat because you can. There's not really any reason why you eat. You just eat because you eat. Okay, but being mindful, we eat to survive, leading to healthier choices, right? Look at that kid in front of them. There's a donut or there's a fruit. So this is where we are now. This is what I want to explain. Being mindful, we recognize where our food really comes from. So what does that mean? You see, before you eat, you say a bracha. If it's Baruch Atah Hashem Borei Minim is the blessing for every single piece of food that we eat, every single thing. On a simple level, you're just expressing gratitude from where it comes from. But if you actually think about it, and you think, where does this food come from, right? Today's kids think that this food comes from the supermarket or from Amazon, or they have no idea. But if you actually think about the process of making pasta, right? Take fettuccine Alfredo. There's a farmer in Kansas who's been working for months harvesting and he's doing like a million things. If you think about the production, so next time you think about the long odyssey it takes, and God is the one engineering this entire process, right? God is the one engineering engineering the entire process. So you recognize the following. Look at text number 3. The Sephardim actually do this, by the way, in text number 3. The Ashkenazim and Chabad, we don't do it. Here's what you're supposed to do for the Sephardim. Before reciting the blessing of bread, you put both your hands on the bread. You put your 10 fingers, reflect the 10 mitzvot associated with bread making. There's actually 10 mitzvahs which happen when you make bread. They are to avoid plowing with 2 species of animals together. That's number 1. To avoid growing forbidden mixtures of plant species, kilain. To leave leket, chichacha, peya, for the poor to collect, to bring the first fruit to Jerusalem, to donate the truma tithes to a kohen, to observe the rites of Ma'aser Rishon, Ma'aser Sheni, and to donate a portion of dough challah to a kohen. There's tremendous amounts of mitzvot for that, 10 to be precise. So if you meditate upon the fact that food undergoes a complex journey to your table, appreciating that as you bless Hashem prior to eating brings mindfulness and divinity into an otherwise mundane act of eating. In other words, you're not just eating. You're thinking to yourself, hold on, there's 10 mitzvot associated with this bread. This bread has gone through a process. This pasta, this cereal, this everything has gone through a process, and you're focusing on the spirituality of the thing. But there's one more thing over here. Okay, let me explain before we go into this. Okay, let me explain. There's one more idea when it comes to eating. Every single thing has a spiritual energy to it. Take a steak, for example. When you eat a steak and you say a bracha shehakol niyah bidvaro on the steak, you're actually elevating a divine spark of God in that steak. When you take any food, there's a divine energy in that food which you are elevating when you eat it. Look at text number 4a to explain this. Okay, 4a. When God declared, let the earth give forth living souls, or let the earth produce vegetation and fruit trees, those very words created everything, and those same utterances continued to function as the inner life of that which was created through them. When we take a fruit, or any fruit, and recite a blessing over it with proper intent, articulating the words, blessed are you, Hashem, mentioning God's sacred name, the spiritual energy responsible for bringing that fruit into existence is activated. This occurs because everything was created through the divine name, and our articulation of God's name in the blessing awakens the divine energy that flows from God's name within the fruit. Then the awakened energy within the fruit provides spiritual sustenance for our own soul. This can only work with kosher food, substances that God himself directed us to sublimate from mundane to divine. This is the deep significance of the verse. Know that a person that does not live by bread alone, but rather by whatever comes forth from the mouth of God as a person lives. It is not the physical bread alone that supports life. Rather, when we utter God's name in a blessing and activate the spiritual energy, that is what gives life to a person, or more precisely to the soul that animates us. So there's a hidden spark waiting to be revealed. When you eat, you are elevating that spiritual and divine spark hidden and contained in that food. Okay, look at the screen in front of you. There's a science, and then there's Kabbalah. The science says when you eat a tomato or an apple, you're providing energy to the body. Kabbalah explains you're providing energy to the soul. Your soul is elevating that piece of chicken. Your soul is being elevated. You're nourishing your soul by making a blessing. Okay, so let's look at text number 4b to explain that a little better. An analogy, the king once lost a precious gem and wished his beloved son to have the great honor of being the one to successfully locate the gem. In truth, the gem was not lost. The king knew it had been concealed, but engineered the ploy to give his beloved son the opportunity of earning it. The king also wanted the distinct pleasure of witnessing his son's hard-earned success. The king went so far as to drop his son a hint as to where the stone could be found. So imagine you have a king who wants his son to search for a precious gem, precious treasure. So he hides it in order that his child should be able to find it. So too, the analogy is clear. Yes, by the way, I just want to reiterate, there's a question asked me. Yes, the food has to be kosher, because if it's not kosher, it's not part of what God allowed you, so to speak, to elevate. And there's no, you can't elevate the divine energy in there, no. Okay? The analogy is clear. The entire purpose for which God created this world is to enable us to retrieve the divine sparks that are lost within materiality. But we are empowered to sublimate all kosher and permissible food items. So there's literally a spark, a gem hidden in the steak, in the cholent, in the kishke, in the kugel, whatever it is. And when you making a bracha, blessing, and you elevating, you finding that treasure. And this theme, the Baal Shem Tov revealed a fascinating mystical truth embedded in the verse: hungry as well as thirsty, their soul enwraps itself in them. These words came to answer the question: why did God create us with a craving for food and make our survival dependent on eating? Right? Do you ever wonder, why do you desire steak? Why do you desire ice cream? The answer is that there are divine sparks trapped in material entities. These sparks long to cleave to holiness. They call out for assistance, and our souls hear their call and respond to their plight. Whenever we eat or drink, we sublimate the divine sparks in the food or drink that have called out to us to achieve spiritual elevation through us. Thus, the mystical meaning of the verse is this: hungry as well as thirsty. Why do we experience hunger or thirst? Their soul enwraps itself in them because the soul is trapped within them in the state of exile and seeks liberation. So this is very empowering, because you have an opportunity with the right intent, with the right focus, you could actually elevate the soul. You could connect your soul with the energy in the steak and the food that you're eating. Okay. Right, God spoke worldly creation, and the godly sparks flow through creation. There's certain divine energy contained and concealed and hidden in food and water and drink, in your Coke, in your coffee, in everything. When you say a blessing, you unharnessing, you unleashing spiritual energy. It's like you finding that treasure. So eating is not just about, oh, I'm hungry and therefore I'm eating. No, you're hungry. The reason why you're hungry is because that divine spark is begging you to elevate it. How do you elevate it? By saying a bracha on it. How do you elevate it? By not only saying a bracha, but mindfully thinking, okay, now I'm going to be strong so I can serve Hashem. I'm going to be strong and drink my coffee so I can now stay awake for the Torah class. You're elevating the coffee that you're drinking. Take a wounded soldier, you give him a steak, you're elevating it, you're doing a mitzvah with it. But if you eat the steak as a gluttonous, you drink the wine as just for your body, you're actually degrading the spiritual energy. You're making it lost, you're making it lose. That craving for food, it's the godly spark screaming to be redeemed. right? That craving, you crave, I want the ice cream, I want the coffee, I want whatever you want. It's the divine spark screaming, redeem me, redeem me, redeem me. So what you could do is enjoy your food and you could become a cosmic hero. So before I play the video on this, okay, having the right intentions elevates the sparks throughout the process. Let's look at text number 5. There's a way to position eating as an act akin to offering a sacrifice to God. For example, you can eat marbled beef and drink fragrant wine for the sake of broadening your mind to better understand God and His Torah, or to fulfill the mitzvah of enjoying Shabbat and festival with good foods and beverages. When eaten in such a way, the meat and wine are sublimated. Conversely, if you eat meat gluttonously simply for corporeal pleasure, the energy you derive from that food or beverage is temporarily dragged down into the clusters of negative energy that obstruct God. That's how meditation, that's how powerful meditation is. The Rebbe writes about this in text number 6. The ideal mode of serving God is that you should be able to sense the divine within the business you conduct and within your field of mundane employment. This requires more than engaging in labor or commerce for the sake of heaven, which lends a spiritual goal to otherwise mundane activities. Rather, beyond that, you should strive to sanctify the mundane activities themselves. This is the meaning. You should know God in all your ways. Okay, let's take a look at the divine, at the video here. Because the video really explains this much, much nicer and better. So hold on a second. Yeah. Okay, let's see. The video is coming up. Oh.
We don't dichotomize between the holy and the secular. In other words, everything has meaning. Everything is valuable. Everything is precious. Even the most mundane aspects of life contain deep spiritual meaning. And we relate to that in a very profound way. Even eating. You have been given a raisin, just hold it in your hand, and I'll tell you what to do with it. So gently close your eyes and just become aware of your 5 senses. Become aware of what your eyes see at the back of your eyelids. Become aware of what you can hear in the room, even sounds within you. Become aware of the feel of the raisin, its texture. Anticipate the taste of the raisin once you begin to eat it. And become aware of any fragrance around you. I would like you to take the raisin and adopt a particular kavanah, focused intention. And the focused intention is that you are going to borrow the soul energy of that raisin and allow to become part of your own energy system. You'll do that by eating it. To adopt a focused kavanah, we prepare ourselves by saying a bracha. A bracha, commonly translated as blessing, means a way of drawing down a channel for the soul spark within the raisin to become elevated through. Say it with me or just respond, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam borei pri ha'etz. And begin chewing. And as you chew the raisin slowly, many times, become aware of the different textures that you encounter. And as the saliva mixes with the skin of the raisin, with the body of the raisin, it changes even more. Become aware of the sweetness of its taste. All these aspects that are the product of the spark soul of that raisin. Sweetness produces uplift of emotions. That is the soul spark within. Listen to your teeth chewing the raisin, thereby making it much more amenable to digestion. All the wondrous ways that Hashem created the world, all just for elevating the soul spark in the seemingly mundane and ordinary. Be prepared now to swallow the remains of the raisin. And as you do, sense how it becomes one within you. Its vitamins and goodness being extracted through the bloodstream into the needs of the body, and the soul spark within being released to a much higher spiritual state because of your bracha. Everything we do in life can be elevated and become much more meaningful if we understand the spiritual dynamics. Soul sparks exist in everything. When we do the right thing, we free the soul spark from its prison, channeling it to its higher source. And we become elevated in the process.
Okay. That was a strong meditation there. It wasn't so easy. Okay, pertaining to the paradigm for this is eating on Shabbat. Passage in the book. Is that for example? Shabbat? No, it's not. It's not. On Shabbat, there's a mitzvah to eat. It's mitzvah to eat Friday night dinner, Shabbat lunch, 3 meals basically. That's what it's more referring to. Okay, so we spoke about eating. We're going to speak now about sleeping. Okay, what do we do about sleeping? So let's look at this. Okay. Without meditation, we sleep to be rested, right? Why do we go to sleep? Everybody's tired. We're so tired. What would happen? Look at exercise 5.2. Imagine you were offered a magic pill. You didn't need to sleep anymore. How would that make you feel? Would you take that magic pill? I don't need to sleep anymore. By the way, I would. I might actually do it. You know, I need. Can you imagine how much more productive I'd be? Another 8 hours of work a day. You know, but what we're gonna do now? You know, most sleep meditations are designed to make you sleep. This sleep meditation is designed to help you stay awake and focused. In other words, your sleep is not just a mindless activity. I'm just going to sleep. No, there's intention to it. Why do I sleep? What is the purpose of sleeping? During sleeping, you harness and unleash the divine spiritual energy in sleeping, even though you're sleeping. Okay? So the simple reason is as follows. You know, you wake up in the morning and you actually, you know, at night, during the day, you go through so many things, and this is just your chance to relax. You unwind, you sit down for 8 hours in your bed, and you wake up, you're refreshed. You know, sleep in it, your mother said, right? Sleep in it, sleep in it. You have a problem, sleep in it, you'll be fine in the morning. You have problems, you have sorrows, sleep in it, you'll be fine somehow, right? God gave us a gift that when you wake up in the morning, you're actually refreshed. So look at this. Without meditation, we sleep to be rested. Being mindful, we sleep to be recharged. Look at text number 7 in front of you. It is customary, first of all, you have the Modani, by the way, every morning before you, when you wake up, it's the Modani. But it is customary to recite the blessing of Asher Yatzar each morning, because at the start of each day, we are like freshly created beings. It is therefore appropriate to praise God daily for having created humans with his wisdom. In other words, it's almost like you're resetting, but to reset, it requires awareness. It's like a chance to reboot, refresh, recharge. But it's also an opportunity. You see, every night before you go to sleep, we're supposed to focus on the day. You know, it like kind of stops the relentless rush of the day, but it also, you're supposed to think to yourself, what did I do wrong the whole day? What can I fix? Who did I wrong? What mistakes do I need to do to fix up? This is what we just learned on the screen in front of you. Modani, thanking God for the fresh start. A time to press pause. Take stock. And let go of toxicity. Okay, so what we're talking about is this. There's something called Kriyat Shema. Every single night before I go to bed, before anybody goes to bed, you say Kriyat Shema. Kriyat Shema, you say, Master of the universe, I hereby forgive anybody who has wronged me. That's how it starts. Hareini mochel, I forgive anybody who has wronged me. Meaning any negative energy, I want it away. Anybody who has wronged me or I have wronged them, I beg forgiveness. That's how you start. In other words, you want to, every single night, you want to like start a new day tomorrow. How do you start a new day? By saying, I don't harbor any revenge. You know, it's a skill. A skill that kids need to learn. That when they are attacked, so to speak, the true strength is not to attack back, not to dig your heels, but to push back and say, I'm sorry. Say, I forgive you. I forgive you. Even if the person didn't ask for forgiveness. That is what you do when you go to sleep. Look at text number 8. Before lying down to sleep each night, says the Zohar, we should take stock of our deeds throughout that day. We should repent for whatever we did wrong and ask God for compassionate forgiveness. Right? Let go. Look of the screen. Look at these 3 things. The first thing in the sleep is a time to press pause. The second thing is you take stock. And the third thing is you let go of poison, toxicity. Right? Throughout the day, the soul is trapped in the body, piling in layers of material garbage, basically. And at night, this is what happens. But there's something more, one more thing to this, and that is the following. Let's see if it has on the screen in front of you. Okay. Believe it or not, one more thing happens when you sleep. The soul, the whole day, is trapped in your body. When you sleep, the soul goes up to heaven. Sleep is therefore called 1/60th of death. The soul is able to escape, go back to heaven. Only a small part of the soul remains here, but it's able to bask in divine delicacy. It's able to leave the trappings of this world. That's why when you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, the soul's like, oh my God, I have to come back from a heaven for this guy, this person to go to the bathroom. Like, the soul's not happy, by the way. But that's what happens, and that's what's in the screen in front of you. The soul goes back to its spiritual high. And with proper meditation, one can tap into this spiritual readiness. Look at text number 9. Our sages instituted the practice of reciting the verse, I deposit my spirit into your hand. That is the last thing we say before we fall asleep. Each night before going to sleep, just after reciting the bedtime Shema, we should meditate on the idea that we are depositing our souls as if on loan, and consider to whom we are providing the deposit. Our souls then draw life from on high, that is spiritual life. You're basically reflecting on your spiritual journey. And you can, with proper meditation, like kind of focus on that. Tap into that divine energy. Okay, now let's just look at the meditation here, because he's going to show you a meditation of this right here in front of you. Okay, look at the screen. Oh, on. Oh, there, you share with the sound. 1 second. So.
Such a mystery, falling asleep, that absolutely beautiful transition as you move from consciousness into some state of subconsciousness. And what you're doing is allowing yourself to move upwards, wander your soul in higher realms where it is energized for the next morning. Gently close your eyes. And just become aware of waves rolling in from the sea. Observe one wave as it finally lands on the shoreline, losing its form, its last gasp, with its wetness extending, and then the excess gently rolling back into the sea. The cycle of a wave, the cycle of life. Are you aware of the moment of falling asleep? When the wave loses its form and spreads on the shoreline? Do you prepare yourself for the journey of your soul at night? When the soul rises to higher realms, enjoying a tutorial to further enlighten it, give it peace and rest, to become refreshed by morning time. Do you have complete trust in your sleep state? Do you willingly allow your soul to travel on high? That state of trust, bitachon, is so necessary for a good night's sleep. B'yodoi afkid ruchi. I deposit my soul in God's hands. The soul has been given to me by the manufacturer with a warranty, and that warranty includes nightly gain, improvement, refreshment. And that's why I sleep. Prepare yourself before you go to sleep to have a state of confidence that the journey will allow you to be a better you next morning. Say the Shema before you go to sleep to create that sense of absolute confidence as you deposit your soul on high. By doing so, the depth of your sleep allows the soul's return to be one that brings you strength and confidence the next morning. Prepare for a good sleep. Be confident in elevating your soul, and allow the next day to be a day of further growth and the soul's pathway through the body to reach out and make the world a much better place.
Okay, let's go back over here. Okay, so that's 2 meditations so far. Second, let's go back to the final one. Okay, so we are. Okay, so the final one is work. Okay, work. What do we do about work? So we spoke about eating, we spoke about sleeping. What about working? Working is the one activity we do most of the day. Sleeping, by the way, is 8 hours, there's 7 hours, 6 hours, but working. Did you know that the very first question a person is asked after he or she passes away is not, did you give charity? It's not, did you fast in Yom Kippur? It's not, did you, did you keep Shabbat? Did you keep kosher? The first question a person is asked when he or she died is, were you honest in business? Because business dealings are the most common. We do them on a daily basis. We all work. The question is, why do we work? Ask yourself, why do you work? Why do you work? Think to yourself, why do you work? I think it's the exercise coming up here, right? Exercise 5.3. Why do you work? There could be many answers as to why you work, right? I want to make money. I want to make a living. I want to buy a house. So you want to buy a wife. I want to buy a husband. I don't know, whatever you want to buy, right? That's why you work. I want to provide for my loved ones, etc., etc., etc. Let's look over here at the screen. My Monday face, right? That's your Monday face. By the way, in Israel, they start working on Sunday, so that's their Sunday face. My Monday face. How can we transform work into a meaningful act? Do you enjoy what you do? Do you love what you do? Instead of coming to work like that, can you come to work like that? How do we do it? Very simple, meditation, as we're about to learn right now. Okay, so exercise 5.4 is a screen in front of you as well. If you would never have to worry about earning a living, right? You never have to worry. You won the lottery, I don't know whatever happened. Somebody came to you, bought your apartment for $20 million. You won the lottery, right? Would you still work? What's that answer? By the way, it's not a yes or no answer. Some people will say yes, some people will say no. And the question goes back to, why do you work, right? If you didn't have to earn a living, if you have all your expenses paid, you have millions of dollars in your bank account, do you still need to work? So Look at text number 10. Work is precious, says the Medrash. All the prophets made a point of performing labor. Jacob requested, let me go back to tending and guarding your sheep. To Lavan, he said that. Moses was described as a shepherd. Moses was a shepherd. Regarding David, it says, God took David from a sheep pen. The prophet Amos declared, I'm a cattle herder. Work is precious. God only rested his spirit upon Elisha, the son of Shaphat, while he was busy at work. As it is stated, Elijah went from there and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, as he was plowing. What did Elijah tell him to do? Go back to work. What did I do to you? Meaning, I did not intend to interrupt your work. Working is a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to work. Look at text number 11. Love work. Do not despise it, says ethics of our fathers. Just as God gave us the Torah along with the divine covenant regarding its observance, so did God give us a covenant regarding our mundane work, as the Torah states. 6 days you shall work and perform all your labor, and the 7th day is Sabbath to God. So, working is embedded, so to speak, in our very DNA. We all want to work. It's a human nature to earn your keep. If somebody would give you $1,000 for free, you would rather work for that $1,000. That's why, by the way, the greatest mitzvah of charity is to give somebody a job, not to give him a handout, because when he works for it, he feels much better. As it says in text number 12, a person prefers a single measure of their own labor rather than a gift of 9 measures of someone else's labor. Meaning, if I were to give you $1,000 for free, or you would work for $100, everybody would prefer the $100. Everybody would prefer work. That's why, by the way, crime, the best thing to do with a ganef is to make him work, give him a job. But on a mystical level, it's as follows. Okay, on a mystical level, every single moment of every single day of your work day, you need to meditate upon God. You need to focus. Okay, look at text number 13. I mentioned this before. Rava taught, when we depart this world and must face heaven's judgment, each of us is asked. The very first question you were asked is, did you conduct business faithfully? The second question, did you designate time for Torah study? The third question, did you engage in procreation, meaning did you try actively to have children? And number 4, did you long for the final redemption? Why would God ask us, did you conduct business faithfully? Why? Why is that the very first question? Is that the most important thing? The answer is God is everywhere. God is in Wall Street. God is in your doctor's office, in your lawyer's office. God is every single place. He is everywhere, and all you need to do is let him in. Text number 14. The way the Talmud phrases heaven's inquiry, did you conduct business faithfully, allows for an alternative understanding. Not only does it include an inquiry regarding our honesty and integrity, but also about our spiritual approach. Was your mundane and material work saturated with God? That means like this. When you work, right, so you made $100. First of all, the simple thing is take $10, give it to charity, right? Ma'aser tithe. Every person, when you earn $1, you give 10 cents to charity. My kids know this. When they make $5, they know. Set aside 50 cents for charity. I ingrained it in the very fiber of their being that they know. They're working, 10% belongs to God. 90% belongs to them. But it's also that you actually see God everywhere. It says when you conduct your business, you can actually see God. Oh, a new client just came here. The stock just went up. If you actually pay attention, you will see God in every area of your business, because God is the one who provides a living for every single person. Why are you not Bill Gates? Why don't you have billions of dollars like Elon Musk? I don't know. But God gives you a parnasah. He provides for you. Right? So what is it specifically that you can elevate? Look at text number 15. The entire purpose of creation is to create a home for God within this material world. You see, at the end of the day, God doesn't want you to be in the yeshiva 24 hours a day. I mean, it's very nice, and it's not for everybody. Some people can do it, but you are in the business world, a realm of existence that sits at the bottom of all creation, beyond which there is no lower dimension of existence. For that reason, our primary work and the overwhelming majority of our pursuits are not in sacred matters per se, for that would be similar to the spiritual service of a soul in heaven that has yet to descend to earth, or that has already departed from earth. Rather, our primary engagement is to engage with mundane and material entities. As the Torah instructs us, 6 years you shall sow your field, indicating that we shall introduce holiness and divinity even to the soil of the field, the lowest dimension of existence, thereby creating a home for God in the lowest of realms. How do you do that? With intention. With the screen in front of you. right? God created us humans. We're wired to always be doing something. God values work, right? God wants it. As we learned, it's a mitzvah to work. Right? You work, feels good to succeed. And then you find God everywhere, every single aspect of your work, of your job, whatever you're doing, whatever field, whatever industry you are. Your goal is to expose the secret powers of the world. Find God. Every experience, whatever you do, find God over there. Okay, there's a video here which is going to show you. One. There we go. There we go.
Why do you go to work every day? Whether that work be in an office, or a home office, or housework. Why do you do this? Is it to save money for the vacation at the end of the year? Or is it to give yourself and your family security for survival? Or do you do it to help self-realize, fulfillment, higher purpose? Since such a significant part of your life is at work, it's important to imbue it with some sense of importance, which it is. Gently close your eyes and picture yourself walking along a gentle sloping path upwards a hillside. And as you move upwards, seeing the scenery around you, it feels so pleasant, so free, so good. Is that the feeling you have when you go to work? And if not, why not? Work seems to repeat the same mechanics. But think about it. You're an artist at work. The artist has the same mechanics, the same paintbrush, the equivalent canvas every single time, and yet each opportunity is a new work of art. Your work has to be imbued with purpose, mission, destiny. When you speak with your colleagues, you can change their lives. Speaking with confidence, speaking positively, very much affects the lives of those around you. With those words, you are an artist with a paintbrush. The more you smile at work, even without speaking, lifts the spirits of those around you. You affect them profoundly. The way you conduct yourself, personal excellence, self-mastery, gives those around you a sense of pride in the same work. The mechanics may be the same, but the mechanics are only the means of you to express your true artistry. Allow your work to be clay in the hands of a sculptor, changing your attitude, giving your work a sense of purpose, meaning, changes the world and certainly changes the lives of those around you. And this will reflect in you. You will see how your own life becomes changed, positive, uplifted, happy through your work. Work is important. It occupies so much of your day. Allow yourself to be the artist in the studio in context of your work. And that way, allow the world to be a beautiful garden that everyone can walk in with admiration. Gently focus again on your breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Feeling the coolness of the air as it enters and the warmth of the air as it exits. Begin moving your fingers and your toes in the room where you are. Move your fingers, move your toes. Become aware of where you are now, and gently begin opening your eyes, coming all the way back into the here and now.
Okay, and now let's just look at one more video over here to summarize everything we've learned today. Check it out.
Lesson 5. Mind your business. Reframing the routine. 1. Jewish meditation is action-oriented, designed to deliver practical results in both physical and spiritual well-being. 2. Know God in all you do is a major axiom of the Jewish value system. It speaks to the notion that everything we do, not only the overtly spiritual and religious, can be an expression of godliness. 3. Eating can be transformed into a mindful spiritual act. On a simple level, this can be achieved by being conscious of the complex journey from our food's origins to our tables. Making a blessing prior to eating brings that mindfulness into focus. 4. On a deeper level, all food possesses divine energy. Being conscious of that and eating only for positive purposes allows us to release that divine energy from the food and transform a mundane act into a divine experience. This too is brought into focus while reciting the blessing prior to eating. 5. Sleep is an opportunity to reboot and refresh. We can imbue it with profound significance if we take stock in the expiring day, resolve to perform better tomorrow, and use our nocturnal rejuvenation to break free of past toxicity. 6. Work is not simply a means to an end. Humans choose to work, even when they do not require the money. Rather, work satisfies a basic human need to earn our own success. With proper meditation, we can find God in the mundanity of our daily work routines.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of lesson 5.